Welcome to The Other Three Amigos, Las Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast. With Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan. So sit back, put the feet up, because it's toe tap time.
In this episode of your unofficial Women's League of Ireland podcast, recent controversies surrounding Cork City players, performances of the Irish under-17, match reviews from the league, tactical decisions, and the impact of specific players, and much more. Welcome to Las Damas.
Hello and welcome to Toe Tap Las Damas, Season 4, Episode 27, Episode 239 of the full Toe Tap offering. We are the award-winning podcast. We are now on Patreon at patreon.com/Toe Tap. Retweets are very important to help the pod grow. And as always, our DMs are always open. Guys, it was a big week in Toe Tap Towers. I wanted to tell you last week. Eileen wouldn't allow me to, but we have been nominated in the, football creation? I don't even know.
Content Awards. You should really know what we are nominated for.
I'm not big into personal awards and that, but we have been nominated for the Best International Podcast in the British Football Content Awards. So that is kind of a big thing. So if you're following our social media, you'll see we'll be asking for your votes and things like that, as it's 50% judges and 50% public vote. So please do get voting. But Eileen, what does it feel like to be a nominated superstar? Not a confirmed superstar yet, just a nominated superstar.
I don't know about that, but I know what it feels like to be riding the coattails of the Toe Tap Cork City men's pod. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun, Declan, to be honest. Myself and John are just enjoying the ride, yeah.
100%.
No, I don't think there's anybody. No, I won't. Okay, we'll just keep moving on. This week in Irish women's football. this week in Irish women's football. Look, I got away with as much as I was getting away with last week now with the 50 Shades of Grey and the whipping it in and the rest of it. So I'm not pushing out the boat this week. Third time lucky. This week in Irish women's football, or since we were last here, I mean, there's only one place to start. There was a tweet from a former Cork City player, I'm guessing now, Lauren Walsh, that kind of rocked the country, got a lot of likes, got a lot of retweets, got seen a lot, and you have to deal with it, even though I'm not sure what the situation actually is.
Yeah, and I suppose none of us really are that sure what the situation is, because Lauren didn't say. She just obviously retweeted a picture of the manager and the owner of the club. And she's obviously unhappy. We don't know what she's unhappy over. I suppose from my point of view, and I felt for Lauren, because obviously something's got to a point that she felt she had to do that. And she needs to be listened to. And I think it's very, very important that Cork City take the time and listen to her. And they will, because as much as I give out about them, there's some really, really good people involved at Cork City. And I'm sure they'll find out what the crux of the issue is there. I think the thing with social media is it can get very, very messy very quickly. And that's probably what happened underneath. And there was probably a bit of a pile on unnecessarily, again, from some people maybe who are related to or friendly with Lauren, and then other people kind of getting their backs up defending City and Danny Murphy. And I think that's the nature of social media. We see that all the time. But look, I suppose ultimately Cork City need to deal with it. I don't like seeing any player kind of unhappy or unsettled. As I said, I don't think maybe social media was the right place to go about it, but it is what it is. But I think going forward, something City, I don't think they have it in place, but I think they need kind of an independent player liaison, maybe somebody, a female who can be in and around the group every couple of weeks, and all the players would have her number, and they could go to her if they have a problem, and she can relay it to the club. If the club let me interview people inside, I'll do it. But other than that, you probably go for somebody you prefer a bit more than me. But there's a lot of someone like Sonia, for argument's sake, Sonia McCarthy would be perfect for it, and because it just stops these situations bubbling up to this point now. she obviously, as you said, a player has an issue and it's kind of erupted. Whereas if she had somebody that she could have went to, and look, as you said, there are a lot of good people around City, but maybe you don't want to go to somebody who's involved in management or stuff like that. And I get that. So I just think, look, maybe there's lessons to be learned kind of all around. But I think with Cork City, they'll deal with it right because they'll know they have to, going forward. And hopefully, look, that all parties can be happy, because it's not a nice thing to see, is it? It's not a nice thing to see at any club. It's certainly not a nice thing to see it at our club. And I don't like thinking of any player unhappy, but I also don't like seeing, I suppose, kind of personal attacks at people either. I think that's not a really nice thing to see either on social media. And there was, and that's the second time it's happened to him as well. So it's a little bit hard. I said, look, I suppose that's the nature of football and it's the nature of social media, but it's a messy enough situation. But for everyone coming here, we don't really know. We don't know. We're not, like, I went to bed the other night and I woke up and I don't know how my phone hadn't exploded, but I felt sorry for a lot of the Cork City players because they'd focus on a game in the middle of it all. And like, if my phone had blown up, what were their phones like for the few days, So it's hard. I kind of felt for them. They're kind of caught in the middle of it all as well, because they're playing for a club. They're doing their best, and then their friend is really unhappy, and this has come out, and it's hard for them,
Yeah, it was kind of Thursday night or Thursday evening was an interesting evening. Like, talk about your phone lighting up. I don't know how many messages I got, and you put the tweet into our group, and I just kind of went, oh God, and then I fell asleep on the couch, and I didn't wait till 10 to 11. When I woke at 10 to 11, I had about 65 WhatsApp messages from loads of different people, Twitter, DMs, the whole lot going, have you seen this? Have you seen this? And all I could say, and everybody got the same answer. And everybody was like, what's this about? And I was like, I genuinely don't know. Sorry, but there's nothing I can tell you. And it's the same now. John, I know people are probably listening, expecting us to say, oh, it's about this and this happened and that happened and this is we're not. And we can't, because we simply don't know.
Yeah. And look, I think Eileen's kind of hit the nail on the head, as she always does. You just kind of make sure that Lauren's listened to, and this, you have a conversation. But the club have to protect Danny as well. I mean, it's just the nature of social media. Something that starts off as a reaction to something, but the pile-on certainly doesn't help. But look, I'm sure looks like Eileen said, there's really good people at the club. So hopefully they'll sit down, talk to Lauren, listen to what she has to say, and put it to bed.
Yeah, I imagine when we check the stats on Friday, around this point, 3/4 of the listenership have just hit stop on Spotify and are moving on to the rest of their day. But so be it. In much better news, Eileen, this is probably for me the real feel-good story of the season. Ronan Gassi was back in the DLR squad on Saturday for the game against Cork City. DLR put out their own little news piece. I think it was on Friday, it might have been Thursday. I know I saw them put it into the group, and they had said that he was going to be back in the match day squad, and I genuinely thought, look, they'll give her 10 minutes at the end, these are back in and whatnot. And then she starts and she's absolutely excellent, but she's missed 6 months. Obviously, she's had a very serious eye injury. She's lost 70% of the vision in her left eye. You spoke to her afterwards, but you were saying there was a little emotion around afterwards because of the reaction of her friends and teammates and everybody else to the fact that she had started and finished another game in the league when a lot of people thought she might never play again, including herself.
I said I was emotional, Declan. I'm sure they all were too. But I was standing there, and I was standing in the shed, and I was obviously a bit pissed off the way the match had went. And she came over, and 3 of her friends were there down the front of the stand, and they were just so happy for her, and she was so happy in turn. And a few other people were approaching her, teammates, City players, and it was just a really lovely moment. And look, luckily she gave me some of her time outside, and an incredibly nice person as well. But it's just in the interview, I think she says, I had to learn to play with one eye. And when she said that, I was like, holy shit. That's incredible. And she was just so nonchalant about it. And she was just so blasé about everything she's been through. And as I said, Laura couldn't speak highly enough of her. All the girls were they were cheering her on in the interview, and just a really good bunch, I will say, DLR. But it was just a really lovely moment. And she probably plays it down a bit, but I just have such I just find it really inspirational, people are overcoming that level of adversity and so quickly as well. And as I said, credit her, and she was brilliant. But it was when she said that, I had to learn how to play football with one eye. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's mad. So no, it was a great story. As I said, and maybe went under the radar a little bit because of the club it is again. So, yeah, look, as I said, I was delighted that she gave me a bit of time after the game. It was a short enough interview, but yeah, it was brilliant, and delighted to see her back because she's a top player.
John, we'll come to you with first. We'll hear Eileen speaking to Nima after the game yesterday.
Nima, first start back after Ang Road. How are you feeling after that? I'm absolutely buzzing, to be fair. I just never thought I'd be 7 foot on a pitch again, so to have my first start is absolutely amazing, and the girls are so great and so supportive, so I'm buzzing, yeah. And can you talk us through, look, I know it's obviously probably difficult enough, but the injury, I suppose how it came about was just a real freak thing in training, was it? Yeah, it was so fluky, like just ricocheted up against another player, and then it hit my eye. And at the start, obviously, I couldn't see out of it. We thought it might go away. And then after time, they were like, nah, like this is permanent. And then it was just a case of just getting back in physio and just learning how to play football all over again with one eye, basically. But yeah, here we are. Look, I didn't think we'd be here, but we are. So, and how's the support you've got from Laura and all the other, like, obviously all here cheering us on for an interview. So yeah, they're forcing me into it, but they've been amazing. They've been so supportive, like absolutely everything with, going to appointments and like just each step I've been doing with my physio. They've been absolutely amazing. So yeah, I couldn't thank them enough. Brilliant. So thanks a million for your time, and it's brilliant to see you back, and you certainly wouldn't know you were just after a long period out anyway. Thanks, Mel. Thank you.
John, we didn't think we'd be here, but we are. As I said, absolutely the feel-good story of the season so far.
Yeah, no, I think it's incredible, really, and like to think that she was so close to not playing again, really, off something that was just such a freak and unusual kind of incident. But she was brilliant yesterday. Not only did she come back, she came back with a bang. She was outstanding. But it's fantastic. There's so many great stories around the league. But I do agree. I think this has just been such a low to such a high. Just an absolutely brilliant story, and great to see Nima back. And hope she goes from strength to strength now.
Yeah, absolutely. And fair play to the rest of the DLR panel for forcing her to do that interview and then standing around laughing at her as she was doing it. I'm sure it was a great bus ride back after that anyway, But thanks to everybody at DLR for helping us out yesterday. We will hear from Laurish later on in the pod. Guys, the Irish under-17s played Wales twice this week, won both games. We think convincingly. There has been a little bit of controversy. I don't know if controversy is the right word, but there has been questions asked about, John, why the national under-17 side is playing on the same day that there's under-17 league games in the National League taking place as well.
Yeah, it's a strange one, but look, I think so many of that under-17 squad are involved in playing up at older age levels and, in under-19s and even senior, that it's probably not as big an impact as you might think otherwise. Like every league in itself is young the whole way down. But yeah, it was a strange call, but I guess it was something that would have been agreed with Wales before they or when they were setting the fixtures. It's hard to know what the actual scores was because they didn't publish them, but they just gave lists of goal scorers for both games. Some players' names appeared there twice. Anna Butler, Aisling Mee and Liam McGrath all scored in both games. So it looks like it was two convincing wins. But look, it's a special group of players that they have come, or that we have, I should say, in Ireland coming up with that age group. So great things ahead. And look at continued success of the ETP programs and things like that the FAI are about to scrap.
John, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me a question, Eileen.
The Rubiks Cube looked finished, so what are you doing with it?
Oh, sorry, am I making loads of noise with my Rubiks Cube?
Yeah,
I'm incredible.
But it's finished, John, so what, are you messing it up?
No, sorry.
One side is finished. You had a yellow side fully finished there. I'm just such a fidgeter. I have fidget toys all over the place. It's one of my many issues. Sorry, I put that away now. The noise, I guess.
You do it, but I was going to tell people that you weren't eating crisps or potatoes or something. You were actually doing your Rubik's Cube as you were talking, Eileen, John mentioned Liam McGrath there. Obviously, Ashley Meehan missed the DLR game. Ella Kelly missed the Shamrock Rovers game. Leah McGrath played on Tuesday for the Irish Under-17s, played on Wednesday night for Wexford against Athlone, and then played for the Irish Under-17s again on Saturday. No fault to Leah McGrath, but as a podcast we've talked and spoken numerous times over the last week about loads. I mean, come on, like.
Yeah, I don't really see the sense. She should have just been left up with the Irish camp. I don't see the sense in Wexford pulling her back in and like she came on for half an hour, 20 minutes at the end. Again, if it was a very physical game on the Wednesday night after she'd already had a game and been in camp, been involved with Wexford at the weekend. So yeah, we talk about load, and then I'd get it if maybe Wexford were fighting tooth and nail for a title or something, but it was just, I don't know, to me it makes no sense, and I think it's very difficult in a player, and players will never say no. Players want to play, especially younger players. That's all they want to do. They'd play a game every day if they were given the option. But their clubs have to manage them better. And look, it's unfortunate, but look, I don't think it should be happening. I understand they're friendly games that the Irish team are involved in Wexford. It was a league game, but as he said, it's at a point of a season where Wexford have a big enough squad that they should be able to manage without a player who is still an under-17, so I think she's not long turned 16, even if she is already.
If she's turned 16, it's been the last couple of weeks.
She's very young, it shouldn't be happening. It should just have never been an option,
Yeah. We'll end this section on a brighter note. Our women's homeless team, won the trophy stage at the Homeless World Cup recently, beating the USA 5-2 in the final. And even better again, our cerebral palsy women's side had an opening win at the Cerebral Palsy International Friendly Series, where they beat Denmark 11-4. Guys, there's a lot of good stuff going on around the league. We spoke last week about how Danny Murphy at Cork City is massively involved in the Down syndrome football program down here. There's a big Down syndrome festival next weekend where there's 9 League of Ireland clubs sending their teams to that. As we said there, we've the Women's Homeless World Cup. The men were at the Homeless World Cup as well. And you have the Women's Cerebral Palsy South as well. And John, I mean, these are competitions and teams who won't get much notice and won't be spoken about much, but people doing their thing at their level to the very, very best of their ability, which is all you can ever ask for.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And look, I would be tough on the FAI on a number of topics, but one of the things that, and I remember, I assume they still do this. So if anyone is going through one of the PDP 1, 2 or 3 courses and they ask you up front how many teams the FAI run internationally, and you start counting down through all the, there's a senior men, senior women's, there's 27, 28 international teams involved, that we put out there. And no, look, it's brilliant to see women's football being there and women right through the country from all walks of life with different levels of ability, getting their opportunity to represent their country. And again, look, James Scott gave a call out to her on social media, but just Irene Hare as well, who's with the Cerebral Palsy team, will be very well known and very well liked in the league, and just great to see her and someone at that level as well involved in teams like this. But yeah, look, it's nice to be able to give a shout out to these things when they're happening. Because they probably don't get the coverage and recognition they deserve. I mean, all these people playing for their country, big thing.
No, absolutely. Massive thing. Right, that's the week that was, guys. So we'll move on to the underage results. The under-17 Tier 1 saw Athlone 1, Shamrock Rovers 4, Cork City 2, Bohemians 3, Waterford 3, Treaty United 2, and Wexford 1, Shelbourne 3. But obviously anybody who was involved with the Irish under-17s wasn't involved in those Tier 1 games this weekend. The under-17 Tier 2 North saw Finn Harps 2, Drogheda United 3, Longford 1, Sligo 3, and Dundalk 5, Galway United 3. Tier 2 South was DLR 6, Cove 1, Peamount 4, CK United 1, and St. Pat's 2, Bray 1. The under-19 Tier 1, those games were off today because of the weather. There was a couple of games in the Tier 2. They saw Galway United beat Peamount 2-1, while DLR beat Finn Harps 1-0. And Dundalk, I presume we're in the 80th minute of injury time against Sligo Rovers, according to FAI Connect, but it's now the 81st minute of injury time. But I'm guessing that game finished 1-0 to Dundalk. Tier 2 South saw Treaty United beat Bray Wanderers. Bit of a reduced fixture list this weekend, John, especially today's games because of the orange weather warning in the south of the country.
Yeah, and I suppose look, the obvious one to stand out this weekend among the results there that you called out are the Shamrock Rovers win against Athlone. 4-1 is a big win for two teams that have been going toe-to-toe all season. And it's actually the two teams that will face each other in the Under-17 Academy Cup final. So I think Rovers have put down a marker there, and I've no doubt Athlone will answer it. But it's been a fantastic rivalry all season, and the final I'm sure will be no different.
Yeah, absolutely. We will move on from the underage stuff to the weekend's games and the match reviews. Very quickly, Eileen, we'll just nip back to midweek because it is vital to what happened at the weekend. We were sceptical, as to whether Athlone could go down to Wexford and win. And once again, Athlone said, don't ever be sceptical about us. Down they went, Flintstone the whole way down to the bus, I presume, and still managed to win 2-1 in Wexford.
Yeah,
What's just a joke, anyway.
That bus really upsets you. Yeah, they were, and it was a tough game, but Brenda Haaland up top, lads, she just scores goals for fun, doesn't she? She's such a handful. She was very, very good, and they were just really, I think John used it in the group, the word resilient, and that was exactly what they were. They very much remind me of Wexford when Wexford were successful, and winning leagues a few years ago. They've that exact, they just don't know when they're beaten. They really don't, and they'll just die for each other on the pitch, and you can see it, and it's brilliant to see, and it was a huge win. It was a massive, massive win, and obviously, look, the way the weekend fixtures went, it's even bigger, and it's not an easy place to go down to. So yeah, look, it was a tough night down there. The weather looked miserable. It just looked really, really tough. And as I said, they really dug it out. And you could see what it meant to them as well. Some great celebrating as well from Brenda, lads. She's brilliant. I really enjoy her. She's a great character, I'd say, for just to have her in the league. So I thought they were very, very impressive. And Wexford were very good on the night as well. It's not that they just rolled over for them, far from it. But yeah, they just gave me big Wexford kind of 2015, 2016 vibes, to be honest.
Yeah, John, Athlone go down there, they go goal ahead, and you think, all right, this is really, really good. Ciara Rossler bangs one into the top corner from 25 yards or so, and all of a sudden you're thinking, Jesus, this is a real, real test of Athlone's character here now again. And as we've said all year, once again, you put a test to them and they pass it with flying colours.
Yeah, and it's incredible, really, when you look at who they don't have now compared to who they had at the start of the season. There's a lot of focus on Brenda coming in, and rightly so, but with Casey Howe gone and the injuries they've had, to keep grinding out and to keep that level of performance going is brilliant. No, they're an exceptional side. And that was a big, big win. But I will say I did predict they would grind it out on last week's pod.
Oh man, wait till
I love Wexford,
wait till we get to the Shelburne Galway game. So you're really going to wallow in it, aren't you? But before we get there, what I want to do is I just want to have a look at the other three games very, very quickly, and then we'll deal with the two massive games that had all the title ramifications. So 2:00 in Turner's Cross, Eileen, you were there. Unfortunately, I could not make it at 2:00. It's the second game all year.
Unfortunately now, though, in retrospect, would you say unfortunately?
Yeah, it's the second game I missed the season. The first I chose to go to Treaty United, and that won a couple of weeks back. But this one I just couldn't make. Just ain't a whole lot to say, really, is there? It wasn't the greatest of games, but DLR, I thought, watching the game, were absolutely full value for the 3 points.
Yeah, very much so. I know, I thought City did all right in the first half. Look, they scored from a penalty. I don't think it's a penalty. I think it's outside the box, but you're talking inches as well. And I'm the first to give out about a referee, but it's impossible. Do you know what I mean? It's not that it's way out. It's not, but it's not way outside the box either. Do you know what I mean? At the same, it's a foul, and they obviously are given a penalty. City, I thought were okay. I thought we created a bit, but like it was still like we never really troubled Eve. Like she's a very, very good goalkeeper, and she was comfortable behind every kind of effort we have.
Like,
I was kind of glad to see us shooting a bit more from distance, but like, yeah, I think it's obviously been a tough few days for City, and like I touched on it earlier on, I think it's been a really tough few days for the players. I know people will look and say it's been a tough few days for the manager, and obviously it has, but as I said, the players are caught in the middle of it, and it's really difficult for them. I think he needs, like, our season's been just insane because we were so good the first half of the season, and we've been awful the second half. I think that's fair to say, but there's too much changing. Like, there's too much chopping and changing, and I'm not going to settle with Ciara McNamara on the bench because our back line, and they're very good players in it, they're like, there's not a word. There was not a word, and there was only 100 in Turner's Cross yesterday, so it was really apparent that there was no talking across our back line, like none. And you cannot have her sitting on the bench. You can't. Like, you need to bring her on, put her in next to Niamh. We're talking about experience. Ciara's experience. She's vocal. She's a leader. Put her in there next to Niamh. And I think for next season, he needs to pick his starting strongest 11 and stick with it. There's too much changes. There's too many changes every week. I don't think he knows what his 11 is because of how poor we've been. But at the same time, I don't think there's been enough people given time in certain positions either, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, it was, as I said, it was a tough watch, but I was lifted at the end by seeing Naomi Gassi and her friends. So, look, it wasn't all bad.
Through teary eyes. Don't forget when you were watching them through teary eyes. John, as I said, Eileen's had a rant there about Cork City, but DLR were well worth the 3 points. Good value for the win, I thought. Look, Eileen says I think it's a scandalous decision to give a penalty there. It's clearly outside the box. The assistant referee is also on that side. It's a foul. Undoubtedly it's a foul, but it's outside the box. I'm not going to talk about the Cork City players' reaction to it again, because every week I come on and say they just all put their heads down and walked away. It's absolutely ridiculous at this stage. Like, I mean, but if you, like, Eileen's laughing, but if you make it easy for refs to give big decisions against you, they will give big decisions against you. You know, I guarantee you Lucas Keating is not giving that penalty in Talca Park. There's no way he gives that penalty in Talca Park. Absolutely no chance. And that's the difference, you know. And look, yeah, case for us, that was the game.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't know you were asking. Was that a question, Jackie? I think you're being a bit harsh on City. I thought we weren't too bad at all. The issue came in just in front of goal, the final third. We just don't seem to have that guile to pick the right pass or to make the right decision. But apart from the penalty, Una Foyle had nothing to do. But I do take the point that Eve Badana, while she was the busier keeper, it was all so easy for her. It was stuff that you would not expect her to concede. But I thought it was an even enough game overall, to be honest. I thought Danny's summation of it was fair enough. It's never a penalty. But you have to, like, I'm not a big fan of, you know, getting into refs' faces and screaming at them. But sometimes you have to get into refs' faces and scream at them. Like, you know, it's like if Pearl Slattery, like this is if Pearl Slattery and Noelle Murray and Rachel Graham and Alex Kavanagh are around the ref there, and that penalty's against them, he's leveling that up by the end of the first half. Like, you know, even if someone's fouled in the halfway line, he's giving Shells a penalty. You know, it's just you have to fight your corner. Like, but again, it goes back to what Eileen said there. We're really quiet on the pitch, and that needs to be looked at.
Eileen, who was now the star interviewer in Toe Tap Towers, caught up with Laura Heffernan after the game.
I'm here on the footpath outside Turner's Cross with DLR manager Laura Heffernan. Laura, 1-0 win today. How do you feel the game went for you?
I think we had to do some defending. In fairness, Cork caused us some trouble, especially on the left hand side with Ciara Senna and them. So yeah, I thought they were good in patches, and we have to be very disciplined. But I thought defensively we looked really good today and created some good half chances ourselves.
DLR ways.
Where are they from? Dublin. One will see a foot. It was a big club, Dublin.
So, this is the nature now, lads, of the patch chat. Niamh Gassi, her first start today, how, I suppose, difficult has her injury been, and for you managing and getting her back on the pitch now before the season's over?
I have to say, I like when it comes to being proud of not just her as a person, but as, you know, with the group itself. You know, she's had a hard run in the last couple of months, and see her back on the pitch today. It was a really proud moment for everyone, but I have to give a shout out to all the girls in the club as well for the support they've given her and just, you know, helping her get through that difficult period. And I thought she done really, really well today, in fairness to her.
No, she was brilliant. And I suppose the last, what it'd be another one next week, free week, and then yeah. So I suppose for you, how do you think the seasons went? Kind of up and down, or?
Yeah, look, it has been consistent, and we've been disappointed. I know when we spoke last, I feel we've left maybe 6 or 7 points behind in some games for various reasons. Maybe some referee decisions, maybe some soft goals on our part. But like when you look at us, we're 3 points better off now than what we were this time last year. And in my opinion, it's a much more difficult league this year when you look at the improvement with the likes of Treaty and Cork and things like that. So to surpass that points tally from last year and still have an opportunity to add another couple against Bowes, it's been disappointing in parts, but overall I think we kept together well and pushed on a little bit.
Brilliant. Thanks, Millie, for your time, Laura. Thank you.
Laura is obviously happy with the points total, you know, happy with our points total, happy that they can get another win before the season is out. There was an interruption by a bystander there, Eileen, and, you know, I left it in. I wanted people to hear it because, John, I want to address this to you. Know, people say sometimes I go off on kind of irrelevant tangents and there's not a whole lot in what I say or merit in what I say, but like that interruption concerns me, John, because what if Eileen and Laura have been bludgeoned to death by a middle-aged man with a vendetta against Dublin-based clubs who use buses from Wicklow to transport themselves to Cork? I mean, how would Cork City feel then? How would the FAI feel then? They'd have 2 deaths in their hand, like. So, I mean, like, stuff needs to be addressed, like, you know, addressed badly.
You've no faith at all in Eileen's ability to put any man in his or her place outside.
You'd be a very brave man to be taking on myself and Laura Heffernan, to be honest.
Yeah. I just can't believe he didn't cut that out. I wasn't expecting to hear it again.
It was like he just couldn't wrap his head around the Wicklow bus. Like, it was just too much for him. Like, but look, I think that's the charm of what we're doing. No?
Absolutely. This is it. Anybody is welcome to come and join in the interviews. That's the thing, like, you know, and sounds like just not going to be bludgeoned you to death or anything, like, you know, because I wouldn't like anybody at Cork City to have that in their conscience. Definitely wouldn't.
Do you know what now? I will say, like, because I grabbed Laura when she was coming out of the dressing room and I said, can we have a quick chat outside? And Aaron Howie was there and Laura said, could we just do it here? And I was like, Aaron, is it all right if we do it here? But it was all very good natured. Look, and instead, it's nothing, I don't have any issue with them because I've seen a few people have tweeted me. They obviously have a really good setup now. Did you see Danny's interview? And they have like the proper backdrop and stuff. It's brilliant to see. And do you know what? If nothing else, us interviewing people has pushed Cork City to have interviews with Danny out every week. So job done. Ideal. Do you know what I mean? There's no bad feeling. I had great crack yesterday with the DLR crowd. I really did. I think it should be done inside, of course. But do you know what? We're having the crack with it and we're doing our best. So we'll push on. And as I said, continue to confuse people. If you are coming to Cork, could you bring a bus from outside of Dublin just to confuse further passers-by, please?
Yeah, well, look, I have to say, Eileen, because, you know, yeah, it's good crack, and yes, and I have great time for Aaron Howie, and he's just a messenger in this whole scenario. But if yourself and Laura attempted to do that interview there, you weren't going to be left to do it, like, you know, and that's the bottom line of it, you know. So
yeah, and we weren't going to put it. I'm not going to put anybody in that position because it is what it is, and as I said, we'll power on as we're doing. And look, sure, I'm not very good at interviewing anyway, so I'm only finding my feet. But like next year when I'm excellent at it, I'll probably be in the middle of the pitch and they'll just have to drag me out. Stay tuned.
I can't wait to see what excellent is if you're not very good at the moment. I'm really looking forward to when you hit your excellent stage. While all this was happening, very quickly now, guys, Bulls 1, Wexford 4. Bulls went 1-0 up. Sarah McKevitt put them up. Aileen Clancy got 2 back for Wexford. Rossi got another 1, Ciara Rossiter. And then Kylie Murphy came off the bench with another. There was no stream here for the first 30 minutes or so yesterday. And the highlight was probably Bo's commentator's Tony shout out for the Las Damas pod, where he basically said to people, if you're not listening to Las Damas, what are you doing with your life? You know, which is an interesting way of putting things, John.
Yeah, we love Tony. It was a good game. Both the scores, like, just absolutely flattered Wexford, though. It was crazy. Like, the quality of the goals was really good. Sarah McKevitz, like, she absolutely goes for that. Like, you can talk all day long about maybe, could keeper be doing better, but she spots it and she goes for it. And she's well capable of doing that. We've seen it all season and seasons past. The Evie Clancy's first goal is a bit of a mess. I don't really know what happened there. She just gets in ahead of the keeper. But like, one thing I would say, and the Kylie Murphy fan club here, if you're any kid that's playing in midfield, watch the way Kylie Murphy times her run for the goal that she takes. It's just perfect. Like, and I know, I think Rihanna gets a little flick on it, but she just times the run so well from the cross coming in. You can see her spot that the cross is going to come in, and she just takes off, hits the penalty area at a perfect time. But the two late goals, to be fair, they're both very well taken. But I think Bo's chasing the game through Lisa Murphy up top, and I think they were always going to be susceptible to that kind of counter. It's no disrespect to Bo's, but Lisa's vital to that back four. But when you're trying to get back into the game, you're trying to get an equaliser, and you throw her up front, you're going to leave a big gap. And Wexford exploited it twice. It was never a 4-1 game, but really entertaining nonetheless. A couple of really good goals in it as well.
Yeah, sums it up fairly well, to be fair. I think Sligo Rovers 1, Peamount 1. I have this down as kind of a very similar script to Sligo's recent trip to Tala, and Dolan scores 15 minutes in, similar to Rovers going ahead early. Sligo keep themselves in the game, work their way back into it, and Marin Devaney pops up with an 88-minute equaliser, and it's a fully deserved point for Sligo. Was there any thought that maybe they deserve more?
I thought Peamount were very on top in the first half, and I still think they created a lot in the second half. I thought Sligo were much better than they were that day in Tala, to be honest, especially in the second half. Like, they look like a completely different side the last few weeks, and obviously it was maybe that game in Tala gave them a huge amount of belief, which is brilliant to see. And they know now that if they can stick in games, that they're going to get chances. And Muireann takes her goal really, really well. There's a lot of people there, and she just strikes it so sweetly down low. And I said, it's an excellent strike. But Bonnie McKiernan had a very, very good game for them in goal. And that's one thing. For Sligo, the two keepers, I think have been their standout players probably this season. They're excellent, and they're probably never going to get the credit because of where Sligo are in the table, or because they probably do concede a goal a game. But Jesus, they make some really big saves every game, and it was the same again yesterday. But I'm fearful as a City fan of Sligo next week. Do you know what I mean? And I think Sligo are going to be coming down to the Cross full of confidence, looking for that first win and thinking, here we go. Whereas I think a few weeks ago I'd have said, oh, that's a handy win. We finish out the season with a high, and it's not a handy win now at all. But no, I was very impressed with them. I thought I was listening to the Coigate pod during the week that Karen Duggan is on, and they were talking about the Champions League, and they were saying, can you look at that and maybe build for next season if you're disappointed with this? And I thought it was interesting. She said, it's impossible to keep this side together. So look, obviously they have a lot of very, very good younger players, and Ellen Dolan, I think, has probably been their standout player this year. I think she was excellent last year. She had a very, very good Euros campaign, a very good Champions League campaign. And you would be saying, she's certainly going to be getting calls from other clubs in Dublin, you would think, if not further afield. But I just thought it was an interesting thing to hear. And look, they do have a lot of very good younger players, so maybe that's just one to keep an eye on, I think, over the winter. Okay, interesting. John, last week you told the whole country that Shelbourne would go and win in Galway, and they did. So how does it feel to be right?
Not great, really, because Shells are one. At my core, as much as I have great respect for everyone involved in Shell's women's side, I have a deep hatred for the club on the men's side. So it's I don't. They completely deserved it. I thought they were a much better team. Galway didn't play badly. I just thought Shells defended brilliantly. What's going on there? Cuckoo clock. Cuckoo clock. It's all right. Cuckoo clock. Rubiks cubes. It's grand. No, but Shells just anything that Galway threw at them, they just battered away. Amanda McQuillan, when she was called into action, I thought she was excellent. Really, really good. But the Shells just defensively were really on top of it. Maggie Pearce, Alex Kavanagh, I thought they were brilliant. They just like Shells just. They went at it almost like a cup final. It felt just the intensity from them, just the aggression, and not in a negative way at all. Just how they went about their business. Their movement of the ball was brilliant, and like Jess Gargan's little ball to Noelle Murray to set up the horse shot for what eventually leads to Kate Mooney's goal is absolutely brilliant. Again, look, I don't think Phil Trill or the Galway players can have any complaints, really. I think just on the day they came up against a better side, and I just look like Kate Mooney's just an absolute predator, as we said last week. Like she's just getting into those positions every single week and scoring. And look, Shell's hit the post. They had a couple of other good efforts. Yeah, look, I thought it was not comfortable would be unfair on Galway, but I just didn't feel like Shells were ever really in trouble in that game.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I failed the nation by not having some form of Predator music for Kate Mooney now, so I just have to apologise to everybody, and we'll try and get it started before the start at the end of the season. Like, Kate scored one. She has a second move out for offside, which is another absolute diabolical decision.
Oh, that was shocker. Absolute shocker. Yeah, there's no way she's off.
There's no way. It certainly didn't appear she was off anyway. Yeah, do you know, I was watching a match with people who wouldn't normally watch women's football yesterday, and we were talking about the title run, and they were asking me, and they were saying, do you know how would Galway struggle because they've not been in it? And I was like, it's not only that Galway struggle, I think Shelburne thrive for it. I think they love it. I think if you spoke to like all of that team, because they've all been there and done it, I think they love this part of the season. Like, I don't think they feel the pressure like other sides are going to, because they're so used to being in it. I know like last year was different because Peamount were so clinical. They essentially had the league wrapped up last year nearly by the summer break. But I just think, Shelburne just absolutely love this time of season. They know exactly what to do and they know how to do it. It doesn't have to be spectacular. It can be spectacular at times, but sometimes they'll just go out and they were so good in the first half yesterday. I just think especially the first 20 minutes, Galway were shell shocked, and that's not like Galway. And there was a really big crowd there, and huge credit again to Galway, because they've you can see on social media all week they're running if you could have applied for free tickets, and there was over 1,000 in there, and that should be on your side, but it's not, because Shells come out at 100 miles an hour and they quieten the crowd then essentially. But they're still there and fighting away. But again, not just for their off the pitch stuff, but I think Galway, I suppose the back end of last season, second half last season, this season, they've been brilliant for the league, because they're a bit different to watch. The style of football they play is a little bit different. And I just think they're not in the words of Declan McCormack, you have to lose one to win one, and they're not going to be far off in the next year or two, because they're a young side and then their experienced players are still not old enough that they're going to be hanging up their boots either. So I just think they have a good mix and a very, very good manager. So while they'll probably be disappointed, although technically I think their title race isn't mathematically out. But they require the other two to lose both their games. But as I said, I think for Galway it's been a really, really good season. That's probably hard for them to see right now, but it has been a very, very good season for them.
Yeah, John mentioned the number. You kind of course code.
Yeah, the Noelle Murray yellow card at the end. What did you make of that? The header.
It's the Noelle Murray yellow card.
She goes up with Ericsson and both of them eyes on the ball.
I think sometimes Noelle is just booked because of who she is. I felt some players get that,
Yeah, I just I even in real time, and then I kind of watched it back again this morning. Her eyes are on the ball. It's an absolutely legitimate. Clashes like that happen in the air.
Yeah.
Multiple times for game. It doesn't have to be a foul. I just thought it was ridiculous. Just because we always slag Noelle about the number of yellows that she gets, but that one 100% not deserved in my opinion. I thought it was crazy.
Yeah. Look, there was a lot going on in that game. It was a great game to watch. Saying 1-0. I thought it was a cracking game to watch. Shelburne were just so professional, is the word I use. They just knew what they were doing in every aspect of the game. And as you said, I mean, they thrived in the situation, they thrived in the pressure. Hull probably gave away her golden boot opportunity. She had a great chance second half from a set piece, you know. Didn't put it away, but like John is still out a number of Chevron players, and they had to go about Brenda Tabby getting the Loach Henrietta award down in Limerick a couple of weeks back. But Ronan McLaughlin was head and shoulders the best player on the pitch, Eileen. I mean, it was an unbelievable individual performance.
Yeah, I hope at the end of the season they release her GPS stats like from the games, because she covers an outrageous amount of ground, like. And a lot of it, like, probably, as you said, it doesn't probably get picked up, but she's such a good player. And like we said at the start of the season when they signed her, like, and she obviously took a couple of weeks to settle, but she was getting over kind of a longer term injury, but like, she can't be far off being back in that senior international squad either. Like, she's a top quality player, and just her attitude is so spot on. But technically, it's like, I suppose she reminds you like of Julianne in many ways, and why I think she'd probably fit into an international setup, because she's so honest in her endeavour during 90 minutes. Like, she never stops, never. And it's technically then she's as good, and I think she offers it as an attacking threat, and defensively her game is very, very good as well. She's top class, and it was like a stroke of genius bringing her back, like however they managed it.
Yeah,
look, I mean, I've had an absolute senior moment there, because it was Roma that got booked late on, not Noel.
Yeah.
I'm so used to Noel being booked. I obviously thought it was her, but it was Roman McLaughlin that was booked. Yeah, and she was outstanding.
Yeah, when you said about the clash in Eds, I was like, well, I'm not going to argue with John, but I don't think it was Noel Murray. So yeah, but anyway, it stands that it was a ridiculous yellow card.
It was anyway. Roma. But she was brilliant.
I mean, just before we move on, you mentioned Galway a while ago. I mean, obviously they're going to be disappointed. They can still technically win it, but you know, it's a massive set of circumstances that would have to fall their way. Obviously, Julianne was very upset in the pitch afterwards. There was other Galway players very upset in the pitch afterwards. But as you said, there's a lot they can take out of this season. You know, they retained the Avenir All-Ireland Sports Cup. First time they've ever retained a senior trophy, as Phil said. You know, I'm a big believer, as you've mentioned, and you have to lose one to win one, or lose one before you win one, and keep that squad together, add a couple of pieces, and they will be right there next year.
Yeah, and for the next few years, because like if you look down through the years, like Galway has a really good history of producing players. It's a brilliant sporting county. It's a big, like everyone is just sports mad up there, and traditionally you have like a lot of the best players had left to Dublin clubs, and that's not going to happen now. And I think Phil said that the night he was on with us actually. They're giving people a place to play at home where they're going to be competitive. And as I said, I think they're going to be, and like you could see, like the community up there is buying into it. Like they've had some incredible crowds. So like, I think, as I said, the only way is up for them. And obviously it hurts now. That's football. I'd be worried if they weren't upset on the pitch after the game. But I think in a couple of weeks, they'll look back and say, yeah, it was a good season, and an awful lot of very positive building blocks there as well.
That result ensured that Athlone couldn't win the league last night, no matter the result against Shamrock Rovers. But what we got was possibly the game of the season. An incredible game. Credit to both sides. Credit to everybody involved. It started quick and it never really slowed up. O'Neill Gorman put Shamrock Rovers up, one up early on, stayed that way. Then straight out of the half-time break, Brenda Tabby equalised in 47 minutes. There's a cross from Jessie Rossman, who's a centre-back. This cross is...
it's unreal.
It's like, it's the quality of the ball in, like, is unbelievable. Scarlett Heron put Shamrock Rovers back in front on 53 minutes. Then you get a Maddie Gibson brace that is just, like, I mean, good God above tonight. When you talk about the quality of the goals that are scored, the first one's a free kick. I know what you guys are going to say here. Well, I presume I know what you're going to say here. But I'm going to continue my crusade against goalkeepers and say that...
Jesus Christ.
Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish, please. Please allow me to finish. Amanda Budden is creeping left. She takes 2 steps, if not 3 steps to her left, and the wall has that side. And Gibson catches her. She sees her go, and she goes Amanda's side and puts it in that side. Now you're going to say the keeper, and look, I fully buy into that it's an unbelievable strike and the keeper probably can't save it. But Amanda's caught. She's caught pinching left. I don't care what anybody says. You can clearly see it on the cameras.
Desperate.
Clearly see it on the cameras. She's caught pinching left. Right? I stand over it. You can respond. Feel free to respond though by all means.
She could have had a ladder and be stood at that corner, like, and she wouldn't have stopped it.
Come on now. Get down. Like, that's outrageous. Like, there's not a goalkeeper in the world that's stopping that free kick. It is pinned, like, quite literally centimetre perfect from Gibson. Like, did you play in goal?
No, never.
Did you?
Never.
Right. So you're talking to a hoop, basically.
Five aside. Yeah. You know, but
I can't believe it's not from Amanda's point of view that I'm upset. I'm upset from Maddie Gibson because she takes a free kick that I genuinely think there's no keeper in the world stops it, and you've taken away from her. Shame on you.
No, I'm not taking anything away from Maddie Gibson. Maddie Gibson,
I can't believe it.
Maddie Gibson is brilliant. And that strike is top class, and it's more top class because I believe she spotted Amanda Budden heading left, and she says, right, I'm going to teach you a lesson and put it in your top corner, not in the wall's top corner. And that makes it better again. So I'm not taking from Maddie Gibson. I'm giving more to Maddie Gibson, in my humble opinion. It is unbelievable. But like, lads, look, you can see the AV, the AV cameras behind the goal. You can see Amanda pinching that. Like, she's, so I'm just saying what I see, It's like catchphrase, that old show, say what you see. I see the goalkeeper moving left. That's all. There's no big drama, like.
You're just upsetting Shamrock Rovers. It's literally what you thrive on. No, like Shelburne thrive in the pressure, you thrive on Shamrock Rovers. This is your title race.
Not at all. Then, guys, we have her 81st minute strike that puts Athlone ahead. I mean, Roisin Murray, our hero, does very, very well. Great layoff, but Christ almighty, what a strike. What a strike.
Oh, it's unreal. And it like, she did very similar. God, it was against Cork City. When we gave her the freedom of Athlone Stadium.
That was great.
She hit an almost identical shot across the keeper. Like, so, look, she's just brilliant. Great strike. And Amanda couldn't do anything about that one either.
No, couldn't. So give full credit to everybody involved for that goal, That put Athlone 3-2 up from a position of having been 2-1 down. One of the three of us in this podcast had a small bet on Athlone at 9-1 when they were 2-1 down, and was very, very happy at the 3-2 lead. And then 60 seconds later, up pops Joy Ralph to make it 3-3. Another very, very good goal, guys. It's a great through ball, first time from Joy Ralph, bottom corner. Like, the standard of goals scored in this game, as I said, you give full credit to both sides, was, I mean, it was, as I said, I probably have it down as game of the season. I think anybody who saw it would probably see it the same way, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was a brilliant, brilliant advert for the league. Like, it was bananas. It was completely and utterly insane. Just two teams going hammer and tongs, both trying to play football all the time, at the same time willing to kick each other when necessary, which is always good to see as well. But it was just a very, very, very good game of football. Like, Jessie Rossman, that cross I suppose she kind of reminds me a little bit. Like, we saw Maggie Pearce is really good as a centre half. Like, Jessie Rossman's nearly wasted at centre half because that, like, she does that a lot during the season where she breaks forward and she's so good on the ball. Like, it's nearly, but she's obviously such a good defender that you obviously have to kind of keep her back there. But yeah, she's an excellent footballer. You have given out about her, but I thought Amanda was brilliant she made a few excellent saves. She made one in particular from Roisin Malloy. That was top class. Like, and I thought, like, for as a centre half pairing in Fox and Maria Reynolds, I thought, like, for a side that conceded 3, they were very, very good. Like, Maria Reynolds is not going to be playing football in this country for very much longer. Like, last, like, since July, she's on another stratosphere, like, and she's everything that is required to kind of make it at the next level, because she's big, tall girl, really athletic, lightning quick. Like, she kind of, and like, at the start of the season, she was making errors. She's learned from them all and she doesn't make them a second time. And, like, said, she's definitely going to be moving on. And it's kind of weird to pick out centre halves on a day where they concede 3 goals. But like in the first half in particular, that's the best we've seen Brenda being managed, like, because they gave her, like, it was a real tussle, like, because no one's kind of figured out how to manage her. Like, Shamrock Rovers did the best job and she still scored. But no, it was a fun game. And also, shout out to Scarlett Heron. Great goal and good woman for celebrating. We like celebrating against old clubs. We don't like not celebrating. You moved on, celebrate. You're dead right.
Yeah, I was just going to say about Scarlett, and you say I thrive in upsetting Shamrock Rovers. I don't in any way, shape or form. I'm firmly the belief that, like, 6th, 5th, 6th, like, stop. But anyway, not with no those always. But I was reading Coddy O'Neill's preview of the game on the Shamrock Rovers website, and he did say that in the last few weeks, they've gone back to the system they used last season, and it suits the players much better. And the first question that pops into my head is, why is it taking you 15 or 16 games to go back to the system that suits you so much better? It's cuckoo stuff, like cuckoo stuff that it took that long to realise what needed to be done. I'm going to get frustrated now again.
Yeah, and like, to be fair, like, I think Shamrock Rovers, while obviously, like, they'll be disappointed with where their league season has gone, I think they're enjoying having a say in the title race. And yeah. Because for them next season, like, when they're going into start, like, you're going to expect them to compete regardless of what's happening, because, as said, we know of their financial backing. So you're going to expect them to compete. They're a very big club. You would expect that. But I think for them as a squad to get results down, and like that result in Athlone is a really big result for them. They've Shelbourne in the last game of the season. Like, you know, they'd thrive if they stop Shelbourne from winning the title. Like, they would be absolutely buzzing. Like, I said to someone on Twitter last night, you'll see Amanda with a big Shamrock Rovers flag in the middle of the pitch this time now. So, you know. So, but like, for them, like, for next season, like we all know how good that squad is. Like, it doesn't kind of need saying, but I think they need to maybe prove to themselves that they can compete with the teams up the top of the table. And I said they certainly did that on Saturday night, because they were excellent.
I got a notion this morning, Eileen, and I ran some numbers for you. Something you've said the last 2 weeks stuck with me. So I got out very quickly, don't it's not a massive sample, but you've mentioned Steph Zambra and her minutes, etc. a few times in the last few weeks, and she obviously didn't get on the pitch last night, having had 2 goals and an assist in the previous 3 games. So I ran some numbers, as I said, and obviously, look, Shamrock Rovers only played 18 times this year, so it's a small sample size. Steph Zambra started 13 of those games. So of the 13 games she started, they won 6, drew 2, lost 5. Took 23 points, which is 1.77 points a game. They scored 23 goals, conceded 11, so their goal difference is 12. So they scored 1.76 goals per game and conceded, 0.85 goals per game. In the 5 games that she didn't start, they didn't win any of them. They lost 3. They drew 2 points. So 0.4 points per game. So in the games she started, they've taken 1.4 points per game more. They scored 5 goals, which is obviously 1 goal a game, 9 against, so goal difference of -4. And they conceded 1.8 goals per game. So they conceded goal a game more in the games that she hasn't started. As I said, tiny sample size, it's only 13 and 5, but I think sometimes the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I actually thought she probably wasn't fit. No, look, I mean, they certainly didn't struggle to create yesterday, to be fair. They were very, very good. Mm-hmm. But I saw then on her Instagram today, I don't think that it was a fitness issue, because I thought she had up on her Instagram today that she was training. So, look, it's a strange one, but strange decisions, and that's why I'm not a football manager, you know? Not
anymore, anyway.
Exactly, no wonder I'm not. I couldn't handle people shredding me apart like this. I'm too mentally weak.
Yeah, I mean, it's mad if you were manager. Imagine my tweets if you were manager somewhere. Remember when she said this and we couldn't put it out?
Imagine my reply.
Yeah. As I said, an incredible game. Brilliant. It keeps the title running alive. So credit to Shamrock Rovers for that. I just want to say as well, I noticed, it was said that Mark Scanlon was in Galway. Mark is obviously the League of Ireland director, was in Galway for the Shelbourne-Galway game, and then was in Athlone for the Athlone Shamrock Rovers game. There's a fair commitment there, John. And look, as I said, obviously I disagree massively with Mark at the moment on one particular issue, but I've always said that I think, when I know he's working with one, if not both hands tied behind his back. But I would say fair play to him for making those 2 trips yesterday, and I would say not everybody in his position would have done that, you know.
I can tell you for a fact, not everybody in his position would have done that, because people down through history have not been doing that. So, yeah, like you could be very dickheady, like I'm about to be in Saoirse or Athlon's on the way home from Galway anyway, but he doesn't have to stop. And it is really, really important that people in his... I'm only being facetious there. It's really, really important that people in his position are seen to be supportive of the women's game, to be out, to be seen publicly, to have that kind of, pardon the corporate speak here, but to have that FaceTime with people, to interact with them, officials at clubs, secretaries at clubs, hear what people have going well, have going badly. I mean, Mark going to two women's games in the space of an evening, that's not a jolly. Like, people will be wrecking his head. The same way as when he's in Cork, Decky's up to him. People would be wrecking his head, about this, that, and the other. So he's working at these games. And no, look, I think it's great, because like I'm around the league a long time, men's and women's, and way back when you'd be really, really struggling to get certain people to matches unless something was going wrong and they needed to give you a spank. That's basically what it used to take to get the FAI down, was you were going to upset the perception of the league, or you were going to have something appear in a newspaper that might upset a certain person that used to be the CEO of the association. That's what got people into grounds. So
what you mean is when you were agitating, John, was it? Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah, I would say, for example, if there was a bad owner on the pitch and you were threatening to hold up a TV game by having 200 or 300 people on the pitch at kickoff, then they might turn up and talk to you. That's for another day.
Stories. Yeah, the stories that could be told. Huh? Yeah, look, as I said, I know Mark goes to all the TG Cahir games, and I didn't realise the night I went to Limerick to the Athlone Treaty game, I was only actually walking in the turnstile when it dawned on me. It was like, it's a TG Cahir game. Mark Scanlon's going to be here, so I'm going to get to talk to him. I'm going to find him, and I'm going to get to talk to him about the whole Pat Chat stuff and the rest of it. And then somebody from Treaty told me, no, the FAI AGM is on this weekend, so he's going to be there. I don't know, was I more disappointed for myself or happy for Mark that he didn't have to face me down that particular evening, but look, he's going to be in Cork for the First Division trophy presentation. So we'll see what happens. I always look forward to talking to Mark and this guy. As I said, we disagree on one thing at the moment, but that's life. Not everybody's going to agree on the same thing, so we'll have a chat and see what happens, hopefully. Next Saturday, guys, it's another big day. Very quickly, we just mentioned the games that I don't want to say they're not important, because they are important to the clubs involved, but they're not. They have no ramifications in the title run in. Cork City Sligo, Eileen, we've already mentioned at 5 o'clock. I think we're all very apprehensive of this game all of a sudden.
Yeah, and if you look at the table, City have to win it, because the sides below could very easily catch them. Do you know what I mean? And suddenly you're second last, and what started out so promisingly, and what people remember is the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? No one will think of what happened at the first half of the season. It just gets forgotten about. It's really big, and for the players, said exactly, and you're right. But for the players as well, for their sake, you don't want to be going into. It's a long off season if you've kind of had this last few weeks now where just results of it's all kind of gone a bit petong, but hopefully we'll finish it out in a high. And I just wanted to mention as well, if people are going to the game, City are running a really brilliant initiative. A fundraiser for Coonley Refuge in Cork City, which is an incredible charity. So if people are going to just, there's a video up on all the city social media, but it basically bring kids' clothes, toiletries. As I said, it's a women's refuge, so it's just they'll start doing collections for Christmas. And Owen Kelly, I think at City, was the big driving force behind it. So massive credit to Owen and to Cork City for going with it, because we've seen Shamrock Rovers do brilliant stuff with Women's Aid as well this year, and these things are really important, and it's really important for clubs to be involved in the community, and especially in women's charities as well, and in charities that are important to women. So massive credit to City, and if you are going to just bring something, and just bear that in mind, because it's said a brilliant cause.
Yeah, absolutely. Second, third that, and we'll see what Totap can send out there on Saturday. John, Shamrock Rovers go down to Wexford at 6 o'clock on Saturday. It's kind of, as I said, it's not a nothing game because it means something to Wexford and Shamrock Rovers, but it is just, is it an end of season kickabout now?
No, I don't think it is for Rovers in particular, because I do think there's that kind of element that Eileen hinted at there. They had, like, from the start of the season, they've known they've had a really tough last few games of the season. And I think they're going to, they're going to be buoyed by the game against that loan, and they're going to want to go into that Shells game, last game of the season, with a bit of pep in their step. So I think they're going to go at it again really strongly. And I think it's going to be a decent enough game because Wexford aren't going to lie down at home either. So, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think Rovers actually might shade it. Which is a terrible betrayal of my beloved Wexford Youths, or Wexford FC, sorry. But but it is, look, I think there are two teams that will want to finish strongly, but I think there are also two teams that kind of just want to be looking to next season. So I know Eileen just put on a Wexford FC hat there.
Galway, who cannot roll out of the title race until such time as they're mathematically out. Eileen, they had to Treaty coming off a bye week. It's still a big derby game, etc., but you would expect Galway to have enough. Or do Galway feel like that they suffered a fatal blow last week, and maybe that affects them for the two remaining games?
I actually think it'll affect them in a positive way, and I also hope it does, because I don't want Treaty to catch City. I think they'll just play with the shackles off, and I think we could see real free flowing stuff from them, because they'll just feel there's no pressure on them now. There has been a lot of pressure on them the last few weeks. Everything's been must win, and now that's off them. So I think, and the fact that it's that bye week thing, like it's even like last week, even maybe that's why they were so slow to start against Shelburne themselves, because they were off a bye week. You just don't know. So yeah, no, I fancy Galway for that game, to be honest. I just think maybe the shackles are off them a little bit. Oh, cuckoo. Finish talking, Declan. Declan's cuckoo clock is still going on right now, and I'm going to be unprofessional and tell you all, even though you heard it anyway, so it's fine.
But he wants us to fill time, Eileen, until 9.
Thanks for covering for me, guys. Yeah, appreciate that.
Like, everyone can hear the cuckoo clock anyway. It gives me a banger twice every night.
That was one bar, but this time we went for 8 or 9. Like, I'm just trying to keep things moving
along.
How do they sleep? For sure.
Does that go on all night?
You're so unprofessional, like.
I know, but your look.
Anyway, I'm in my mother-in-law's again. You see, the cuckoo clock's in my mother-in-law, so I not affect her sleep, because I just want to know. Well, it's in a room that nobody sleeps in. Like I'm out in the sun lounge, like so. It's not. Yeah, but look, I'm not talking about my mother's abode. Beyond my mother-in-law's abode. Beyond that, no, to be fair, like some weird people on social media, so you wouldn't know what could happen. Like, where was I before all that started? Right. That's Galway winning in Treaty, so that takes place after the Shelburne game. Shelburne opened the games on Saturday. Home to Peamount, 2:00, John. I feel like I know what you're going to say in here, but let's hear you say it anyway.
Shelburne are the best team in the country, Decky. I think Shells will win this. No disrespect to Peamount, but I don't think anyone can live with Shells at the moment. And I think they're not going to, like, if Athlone are to win the league, I think Shells are going to make sure they earn it every single point between now and the end of the season. And I fully expect Shells to finish very, very strongly, including a win this coming weekend.
Eileen, do you see it the same? I presume you do. I mean, I couldn't see Peamount troubling Shelburne, to be honest.
I don't want to write Peamount off. It's just a big rivalry again, a bit like Shamrock Rovers would revel in upsetting Shelburne's title challenge. Peamount would revel in it just as much. You would fancy that Shelburne have too much for them, but like they have the potential to show. They have kind of had a few crackers down through the years, and I think it'll be a close game anyway. You would have said, I just think Shelburne are kind of in not quite best team in the country mode, but not far off it either, I suppose.
Yeah, okay, interesting. That then sets it up for Athlone, who will win the league if they beat Bohemians on Saturday night, 7:35 in the Seawollen. Because the league is settled on a head-to-head basis, it's not on goal difference, which I only found out watching the Athlone game last night, I have to say. I was surprised, but look, it is what it is.
We all.
I don't know. I pride myself on knowing shit, like, but I did not know that. I just, yeah. So anyway, so because it's head-to-head, and Athlone have a better head-to-head record than Shelbourne, if they beat Bohemians on Saturday night, they win the league. They will beat Bohemians on Saturday night, I think, won't they?
That's what someone said to me this morning. That's a handy one for them. I think the wheels have kind of come off Bo's season a bit since that day, the Cup quarter-final in Turner's Cross. I think that just knocked the stuffing out of them, like the nature of it, and they haven't really been the same since. Look, they're a young side as well, but yeah, I think like we saw like at the weekend, if Athlone score and Bows have to come out and attack, especially on the pitch up there and the size of it, I think they could end up being quite exposed defensively, Bows, because the size of the pitch, and Gibson and Malloy are just such threats. Like they're just two old school wingers, aren't they? It's actually, I suppose, like, obviously Sarah McKevitt does the same on the other side, like, but yeah, I do fancy Athlone for it, but like at the same time, if Bows were to find form that they had earlier on in the season, but that's a big ask. Again, the weekend, it was the least 4-1 game I've ever seen in a 4-1 game, but at the same time it was 4-1, and I think it's hard when you have a lot of younger players to kind of pick them up and say, look, here we go now. But that's kind of what Ken has to do, and it said like he just has to point to them and see, like they ran Athlone very close in Dalymount earlier on in the season. I think it was Chloe Singleton got the win. They only beat them 1-0, and they have to try to. That's what he has to focus on. He has to remind them of that game and go through that game this week with them, and kind of just try to park the last few weeks.
John, do you see it the same way?
Yeah, I do. I Athlone kind of, they know they can win it Saturday. I don't see a situation where they let it slip, to be honest. And then they're, the last day of the season, they're getting the trophy at home and with no pressure on them at all for the Galway game. So, yeah, I think Athlone will win it.
Okay, that's all very interesting. Athlone in the league next Saturday night, so according to Totap. We'll see how that goes then. As always, John, I know you're going to hate it now.
Yes. Postman Pat, in black and white cat. The cat makes race. Early in the morning, one bad man is yawning, and pick up on the post bag in him van.
Okay, we won't play the whole scene. There's obviously a couple on the Cork City tweet, etc., etc. And there's one here from the official Bulls Phoenix. Any comment on the Danny Murphy accusations? Are you sweeping it all under the carpet for your mate? And this is the problem. What accusations? What are you talking about? There are no accusations. There was one tweet in which nothing really was stated. It was very open-ended. Then people piled on about toxicity and this is toxic and everything else, but there's no accusation. So if the Bulls, official Bulls Phoenix wants to come back and tell us exactly what the accusations are, then we will be happy to discuss them or deal with it. In the meantime, Bulls...
Then it did a better things. Roy Diller, I'll be meditated. I can have fix. No damn about it. It Honda. It's but that's popular. It's who take better names or things. Oh, me.
They're gas fan base. Like, I've won a trophy in about 56 years and they go around throwing shit then left, right and centre, like,
you cannot wait to get back to the Premier Division, can you, Cork City?
Lads, I tell you, I'm just unloading next season and I'm probably packing it in after that, then I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to spend the whole next season.
Get yourself cancelled and then goodbye.
Going after every Premier Division club, like, start with Dundalk, forward Premier Division club at that stage, and then just deal with everybody else as we come to them week in, week out, and we'll see what happens. Like, as I said, probably pack it in then after that. One more season in it, and off we go. Okay. Other questions? Okay. With only 2 games left in the season, what are your thoughts on Waterford FC for next season? Will they improve the league with no bye weeks, etc.? John?
No bye weeks is a huge positive. The whole having to plan about coming off bye weeks for clubs right through the season is a nonsense. And really, again, this is directed at the FAI, not at Shamrock Rovers. But really, we said this earlier in the year, you have to let clubs in 2 by 2. It makes no sense to leave in a single club and completely upset the fixture calendar. Whether Waterford will add quality over time, I have no doubt they will. But it's a very tough league to come into as a new club. There'll obviously be a lot of excitement around it. It's a club that has huge potential. And I'm really looking forward to not having a bye week, but I'm also not looking forward to, I am looking forward to not having a bye week. I am not looking forward to having 6 games a week to cover next season. But we have to figure that out.
I can't wait to have a chat with Jess on the footpath.
Yeah. Chatting to her for 90 minutes in the ground and having to go outside to finish the conversation.
I've already booked her in.
You talk about Jess. We keep saying we're going to get Jess on the pod. We're probably
Jess is hiding from us, to be honest.
Yeah. I think there was one Twitter account just continually DMing ours, putting messages up on Twitter. When you get Jess on, when we get Jess on, they've kind of stopped. But yeah, look, maybe the last pod of the year, which will be a review of the year, and maybe a look forward. That might be a good spot to get her in for 10 minutes or something to see what Waterford are going to bring to the league. Hopefully, they will bring positivity, and there'll be a club that can beat Bows twice, and everybody will be happy. Right, here's a question, and it's the last one. It's a question you don't like. It's hard to answer because I think players will be nose out of joint on it. But which player has overperformed this season, and who has underperformed?
I won't be naming a player who's underperformed, although there's many of them. But I'm not going to name them because I think that is really unfair. This isn't a professional league, do you know what I mean? Overperformed that if you told me at the start of the season, I think, especially in the last few weeks, I think Maria Reynolds, obviously we speak about her an awful lot. I think she's been incredible how she's grown into the league, and obviously look, it's her first season at senior football. I think Kaylee Shine at Athlone has really stepped up another level again this season. Other than that, overperformed because I think she might be aging backwards. Pearl Slattery, because at what point is she going to slow down? And I just think it's a game intelligence that she has. I think that's allowed her to Benjamin Button herself a little bit and seems to just get better each season. But yeah, I think it's very, very harsh to say someone has underperformed. There'll be plenty of players think they have. I'll have watched players at times and thought they have, but look, it's an amateur league. Do you know what I mean? No, I don't think there's a player in this league who's went out and intended to be poor or had a poor few weeks or anything like that. It's football. I certainly wouldn't like to be calling anybody out by name. I suppose the three of us really have underperformed, really, haven't we, every week? It's the obvious one, really. We've only upset 90% of the league. There's 10% out there unoffended, and look, there's 2 weeks left, lads. Yeah. Stay tuned.
That is true enough, I guess. That is true enough. Or actually do listen back every week and go, oh, how did you not follow up with this question? Or how did you not do this or say this? So yeah, I do think we underperform, but we will hopefully continue to get better. Sure, I'm comfortable with allowing you away with the not answering the underperform question.
But I'm not, it doesn't, I think we had this another time as well. And like I told you that time, I'm not going to answer it, and you actually can't make me answer it. So let's just move on.
Yeah. Live with the discomfort, Decky.
A bit like I'd like to interview the players in the ground, but I can't. So I just move on and do it outside. A bit like this. You have to accept now I'm not answering, so move on.
Yeah, I actually will answer.
Are you answering?
Yeah, no, I'm brave enough to say who is underperforming this season, and I'm going to call out Eileen for replying to Ken Kiernan on Twitter there about a half an hour ago while we were recording the pod. I mean, what are you at? In the middle of recording.
It's multitasking. It's women excel at it. You wouldn't understand.
That's true. No, I'm not touching
John, before we go any further, just let me get this straight, right? I'm here with soundboards, microphones, laptops, Twitter accounts, trying to ask questions, check DMs, everything else. And one of you is doing the Rubiks Cube, and the other one is tweeting the Bulls manager. All the pod's going on. Should I give her one more season? But maybe I'm just walk away now because I can't work with this. It's forward.
Good.
You know?
Brilliant.
And,
We had a good run.
A board's account giving us shit on Twitter because we're protecting our mate in inverted commas. And there you are, tweeting Ken Kieran as the pod goes on. Holy Moses.
But Ken didn't tweet us, like, did he?
Well, we don't know who owns this account.
The climate
Do you know?
officer,
I mean, huh?
It's the climate officer, it's fine.
Or the poet, or the beekeeper, or the lad, you know, who looks after the special unit, the non-corporate unit, or, you know, whatever else they'd be up to. Or maybe the lad who forgot to present the Women's Player of the Year prizes on the pitch at the last game of the season last year, the last men's games when the women were invited, and everybody just pushed it under the carpet and forgot about it and didn't open them out. Maybe you was one of those people on the Twitter account. But anyway, why am I getting myself in this shit with balls now again? Like, I just like
you're just gearing up for the minute.
You're just warming up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so John, you're overperformer, or performers.
Yeah. No underperformers, but overperformers. And in the context of players that I'm talking about a lot that I probably wouldn't have been expecting to this season, but Lisa Murphy, Bowes and Shauna Brennan alone, I think, have been exceptional and possibly flying under the radar.
I think that's about the end of the pod, guys. Is there anything we've forgotten you need to get off your chest at this stage before we go, either of you?
Yeah, I'm not going to be here next week because I'm going to the Arsenal.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, don't start that one up. Yeah.
All is well. You're in safer hands than what I am. Less controversial hands and more knowledgeable hands.
Jess will be here, thankfully, to you know, fill in for Eileen again. Like, here you are, like, massive part of the most important podcast in the country covering the Women's National League, the Women's Premier Division. And you're off to England to watch Arsenal and Everton in the Women's Super League. No, I watched my first Super League match today. So it was on the BBC. I was at Man City and Brighton. I wasn't really impressed, I have to say. I mean, Man City were a great chase. Couldn't finish their dinner, like. And I was like, give me that little Sherlock Rovers England did a week over this rubbish anyway.
I'll get to the City game, Declan, on Saturday. And then I'll have been at all the games this season, which is probably my first year in a while making all the women's games. And then I'm going to go to watch Arsenal on Sunday. Yeah. My small one's going to go to the Emirates and actually cheer for the correct team for once. So look, she's delighted.
Oh, it just gets worse. She's infecting the child now as well. I mean,
she's got to have some change from Turner's Cross going to the Emirates.
I know, yeah.
yeah.
Why can't I just run around here and play?
Like, how am I supposed to explain to her that she can't get a hug from the players afterwards as well? It's going to be really problematic, to be honest. 40,000 people. I'm like, shit.
I can just see her just running up and down the steps of the Emirates going, oh, Katie. You know, it's just like, oh, look. Anyway, enjoy the trip. I'd say that begrudgingly.
Thanks, should I see you in Turner's Cross anyway?
Yeah. Right, so I do think, John, have you any shout-outs, bar mitzvahs, anything you need to mention?
No, nor bat mitzvahs, as it's the women's pod.
Okay.
None at all.
Oh, yeah. Boars.
I think we've done that before.
Boars are going to be after us now with information in bar mitzvahs, aren't they? Anyway, look, we leave up there. Oh, my God, what am I doing? Okay, right, we leave it there.
You brought it on yourself.
Adios.
I know, yeah.
Adios.
Las Damas, your weekly unofficial SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division podcast with Declan McCormack, Eileen Ring and John O'Sullivan.
Find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.